New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and publications like that. And we all know what's happened to the economics of those businesses. And some of them are in real trouble. So even more than magazines, I think some of these newspapers are, the news gathering and editorial organizations are really important. I don't want to see us descend into a nation of bloggers myself. I think we need editorial more than ever right now. So anything that we can do to help the New York Times and the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and other news gathering organizations find new ways of expression so that they can afford to get paid, so they can afford to keep their news gathering and editorial operations intact, I'm all for.
Do you actually think it'll work? I mean, is this something that you think is, are you thinking people will move to reading? Have you moved yourself?
Well, we've all moved to reading our news on the web. That's why these newspapers are in dire straits. And what we have to do is figure out a way to get people to start paying for this hard-earned content. And so this provides us a potential opportunity to provide them even more value than just a web page and to start to charge a little bit for that. Now, what I preach is that I don't know what's going to work, but I can tell you, as one of the largest sellers of content on the internet to date, the biggest lesson Apple's learned is price it aggressively and go for volume. And that's worked for us. And every time we haven't done that as much, we've seen more attenuated success. So I'm trying to get these folks to take more aggressive postures than what they charge traditionally for print, because they don't have the expenses of printing, they don't have the expenses of delivery, and to charge a reasonable price and go for volume. Now, because I think people are willing to pay for content. Right. I believed it in music, I believe it in media, and I believe it in news content.
But in books,
yes.
And I'm no expert on this agency model and all the stuff that's going on, although our colleagues at the Journal have certainly written about it very, very well. But it looks like your entry into the book thing actually forced the prices up, other than for new, like, bestsellers where there's a lot of competition. So isn't that opposite of what you just said, of trying to price more aggressively? I mean, the typical book is up toward $14.99, and Amazon had been kind of holding it down to $9.99, right?
Yeah, it's complicated. The market right now is such that it is set up to be far more responsive to consumer demand for what the prices need to be than it was 6 months ago. Way more responsive. So we may see prices go up a little bit, but if consumers want the prices to be less, they will be far more responsive to those signals than they were going to be
because the structure of the market
is because the structure of how the publishers are approaching this is changed dramatically.
So let's talk more broadly about tablets. A second ago you said you have a lot of plans for tablets or thoughts about what tablets could be. And when you did your presentation on the iPad, you said it's like, you know, here's your phone, here's your laptop, here's this third category. And if it's not better than a netbook, if it's not of value to people, it's not going to succeed. And, you know, in my own review, I was, you know, I liked it, I was favorable. I said it had a chance to really change things. But I also said people have to feel like it's not an extra thing to carry. They have to feel like it's enough of the time going to replace enough of the things they do on their laptop, not necessarily 100%. Is the tablet going to be eventually replace the laptop, do you think? There are a lot of people who say, well, you'll never do content creation on it, for instance. Talk about what you think, where it's going. Not just the iPad, but the tablet itself as a form factor.
You know, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. When we were an agrarian nation, all cars were trucks. because that's what you needed on the farm. But as vehicles started to be used in the urban centers and America started to move into those urban and then suburban centers, cars got more popular, and innovations like automatic transmission and power steering and things that you didn't care about in a truck as much started to become paramount in cars. And now, probably, I don't know what the statistics are, maybe 1 out of every 25 vehicles, 30 vehicles is a truck, where it used to be 100%. PCs are going to be like trucks. They're still going to be around. They're still going to have a lot of value, but they're going to be used by 1 out of X people.
And when you say PC, just so I'm clear, it's not PC versus Mac. You mean
I mean personal
computers, and you're including laptops and desktops.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this transformation is going to make some people uneasy. People from the PC world, like you and me. It's going to make us uneasy because the PC's taken us a long ways. It's brilliant. And we like to talk about the post-PC era, but when it really starts to happen, I think it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. And because it's change, and a lot of vested interests are going to change, and it's going to be different. So I think that we're embarked on that. Is it the iPad? Who knows? Will it happen next year, or 5 years from now, or 7 years from now? Who knows? But I think we're heading in that direction.
Well, you don't really think it's going to happen next year, right? I mean, it's a longer process than that, isn't it?
Sure.
And what do you imagine when you talk about adding power transmission and windshield wiper, like intermittent windshield wipers? Are there some things you're seeing now that you think will from right now where the iPad started? Do you see anything emerging as important?
People laugh at me because I have used the phrase magical to describe the iPad.
Yes, they do.
And, but it's what I really think. And there's something magical about it. It's like you have a much more direct and intimate relationship with the internet and media, your apps, your content. Mm-hmm. It's like some intermediate thing has been removed and stripped away.
Well, the keyboard.
You know, like that Claritin commercial where they strip away the film?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Okay.
And it's, is it the direct action? Is it the fact that you can move it all around? Is it the fact that you have no cables and 10-hour battery life? I don't know. It's all these things plus other things which I don't understand yet. But there's something about it that's magical. And I think we are just scratching the surface on the kind of apps we can build for it. Mm-hmm. I think one can create a lot of content on a tablet.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Sure.
What do you, now, you shipped it, coincidentally, or the day you shipped it, you also announced iWork, redone for touch,
sure.
$10 a piece. Those are content creation.
They are.
At least editing, but that you can create from scratch mm-hmm. there. There are a few other companies I noticed today. I got a press release that one of the Documents to Go, which has been around a long time on phones, is now out on the iPad, and it can do, or it's about to be out on the iPad, and it can do Word docs, Excel, PowerPoint, whatever. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of people who don't believe that this class of devices, because of the typing and all that, is right for content creation. Uh-huh. You obviously seem to disagree, and I'd just love for you to talk about that a little bit. Yeah, why? I guess why wouldn't they be is the question. You could say, when I'm going to write that 35-page analyst report, I want to use my Bluetooth keyboard, but that's 1% of the time I'm using it, so I still get the benefits the other 99% of the time. If you would say, well, the software is not powerful enough, that's just a matter of time. So it can't be that the software is not powerful enough, because that can get fixed over time.